The red lights are about to go out in Suzuka, but the real explosion isn't happening on the track, it's happening inside the Ferrari garage. Just hours ago, a massive strategic leak from Maranello confirmed that Ferrari isn't just bringing upgrades to the Japanese Grand Prix, they are debuting a secret strategy, specifically designed to break the Mercedes stranglehold on the 2026 season. We're talking about a revolutionary approach to energy management and an experimental aerodynamic cheat code that has the silver arrows looking over their shoulders for the first time this year. If you thought George Russell and Kimi Antonelli were going to walk away with this championship, think again. The SF26 is about to transform into a Mercedes Hunter. THEMREVMO Ananchie Mac GmbL. We are currently witnessing the dawn of the most complex era in Formula One history. The 2026 regulations have turned the sport upside down, and so far Mercedes has been the only team to truly solve the puzzle. With 2 consecutive 1-2 finishes in Australia and China, the W17 has looked untouchable. But the data coming out of the Ferrari camp suggests that the gap, which stood at a staggering 0.58 seconds per lap just last week, is about to vanish. The core of Ferrari's secret plan for Suzuka revolves around a radical shift in how they use their electrical energy. In the first 2 rounds, Ferrari struggled on long straights, suffering from clipping, where the battery runs out of juice before the end of the straight, leaving the car a sitting duck. However, for Suzuka, Fred Vasseur has greenlit a high-risk energy harvesting strategy. Ferrari engineers have discovered that by running lower gears in the transition phases of Suzuka's iconic S-curves, they can keep engine revs high enough to harvest energy. This means Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton will arrive at the Casio triangle, and the start-finish straight with a full battery, while Mercedes might be struggling to keep their MG UK deployed. But the real wow factor, it's the Macarena wing. This is an experimental, active aero rear wing that was briefly spotted in testing, but has been refined specifically for the high-speed demands of Japan. Unlike the standard 2026 straight mode, Ferrari's version uses a unique rotating element that doesn't just reduce drag, it re-energizes the airflow over the diffuser. This gives the F26 a top-speed boost that rivals the Mercedes Lufol engine, which many suspect is running a variable compression ratio. Ferrari isn't waiting for the FIA to investigate Mercedes, they are fighting fire with fire. The stakes couldn't be higher for Lewis Hamilton. Returning to Suzuka, a track he loves, driving for the Scuderia against his former team, the pressure is immense. Hamilton has been vocal about the F26 potential, noting that while the Mercedes engine is a rocket ship, the Ferrari chassis is actually more stable through high-speed lateral loads. Suzuka's Sector 1 is a graveyard for unstable cars, and if Ferrari's new balance reset works, Hamilton and Leclerc could realistically outqualify the Silver Arrows for the first time this season. Party Tokiel Wafa Anante Suzuka Sudo. As we move into the tactical side of this secret strategy, the focus shifts to the race start and the active aero zones. The FIA recently confirmed a designated straight mode zone between Spoon Curve and 1-R, the first time DRS-style activation has been allowed in this dangerous, high-speed section since 2012. This is exactly where Ferrari's secret strategy comes into play. By maximizing their smaller, faster spooling turbocharger, Ferrari intends to seize track position immediately at the start, in 2026. Track position is king, because the dirty air effect from the new active aero wings is making following in high-speed corners like 3rd nearly impossible. If Leclerc or Hamilton can jump the Mercedes at the start, they can use their superior mechanical grip through the S's to build a 1-second buffer. Once they have that gap, Mercedes loses the additional boost allowed by the regulations, effectively neutralizing their power advantage. This is a game of catch me if you can, and Ferrari has built a car specifically to be the hardest thing on earth to overtake in Sector 1. Furthermore, internal reports suggest Ferrari has managed to shave 3 kilograms off the SF26 floor and cooling assembly. While 3 kg might not sound like much, at a high-intensity circuit like Suzuka, it equates to nearly 1/10 of a second per lap in pure tire preservation. Mercedes has been dominant, but they've also been heavy on their tires in the closing stages of races. If Ferrari can stay within the second window until the final 10 laps, their lighter chassis and optimized energy deployment could allow them to overcut the Mercedes during the final pit cycle. The atmosphere in the paddock is electric. Toto Wolff has already begun the political maneuvering, warning about knives coming out. as rivals look to peg back the Mercedes engine. But Fred Vasseur is playing a different game. He knows that the ADUO power unit upgrades aren't coming until June after Monaco. To win now, Ferrari has to outthink Mercedes, not just outbuild them. The Suzuka strategy is a masterclass in exploiting the margins of the 2026 rulebook. Is this the moment the Tifosi have been waiting for? Can the Macarena, wing and the Harvest engine mode finally put a red car on the top step of the podium? The data says the gap is closing. The drivers say the confidence is there. All that's left is the 5-8 kilometers of the Suzuka International Racing course to prove if Ferrari's secret is a stroke of genius or a desperate gamble. One thing is certain: Mercedes is no longer sleeping soundly. The hunt is on and the prancing horse is closing in. The following sections continue the deep dive into the SF26's technical revolution and the psychological warfare unfolding in the Suzuka paddock. GHOST and THTMLBAOUJH, while the world is staring at Ferrari's active rear wing, the real secret sauce for Suzuka might be hidden beneath the carbon fiber skin of the SF26 front pull rod suspension. Reports from Maranello suggest that Enrico Cardiel's engineering team has perfected a heave element decoupling system that allows the car to maintain a perfectly flat aero platform through the high G load of the Degner curves. In the 2026 regulations, porpoising has threatened to return due to the extreme downforce generated by the new underfloor tunnels. Mercedes has countered this by running a stiffer, more uncomfortable setup that punishes the tires. Ferrari, however, has introduced a fluid logic damping system. This system effectively acts as a ghost suspension. It allows the car to be incredibly soft and compliant over the harsh Japanese curbs, specifically at the Kaijio triangle, while remaining stiff as a board during the high-speed thoroughfare. If Mercedes is bouncing even 2 mm more than Ferrari, the W17 loses consistent downforce. In a race of 53 laps, that micro-bouncing translates to massive tire degradation. Ferrari's secret isn't just about going faster. It's about making the tires last 5 laps longer than the Silver Arrows. But there is a second, even more secretive layer to this Suzuka update: thermal harvesting. The 2026 power units generate an immense amount of heat from the battery packs. While Mercedes is venting that heat to maintain reliability, Ferrari has redesigned their sidepod inlets to create a S-duct effect that channels hot air directly into the beam wing. This creates a thermal lift effect, essentially using waste heat to generate free downforce. It's a genius interpretation of the power unit integration rules. By turning a cooling problem into an aerodynamic solution, Ferrari has effectively bypassed the fuel flow restrictions that have hampered their top speed performance in the opening rounds. The data from the simulator is staggering. On a full fuel load, the SF26 is reportedly showing a crossover point, where it becomes faster than the Mercedes by lap 15. This suggests that Ferrari isn't looking for a on-lap wonder. In qualifying, they are building a race monster, designed to hunt down George Russell in the final stint. If Lewis Hamilton can keep the gap to under 4 seconds before the first round of pit stops, the thermal efficiency of the Ferrari could allow him to execute mega undercut that would leave the Mercedes pit wall scrambling for answers. Part 4. The final piece of Ferrari's secret strategy isn't mechanical, it's psychological. For the first time in years, the radio silence from Fred Vasseur's office is deafening. Usually Ferrari is quick to downplay expectations, but the quiet confidence radiating from the team suggests they know something the rest of the grid doesn't. We are seeing a Schumacher era level of discipline. Inside the garage, the mechanics have been practicing a synchronized release pit stop technique designed to gain an extra 0.3 seconds, a margin that could be the difference between coming out in front of or behind a Mercedes. The rivalry between Lewis Hamilton and George Russell is the X factor Ferrari is looking to exploit. Mercedes is currently managing 2 alpha drivers who both believe they are the rightful heir to the 2026 throne. Ferrari's strategy for Suzuka involves split strategy provocation by putting Leclerc on an aggressive 3-stop sprint plan and Hamilton on a standard 2-stop endurance plan. Ferrari is forcing Mercedes to cover both bases. This creates a strategic dilemma for Toto Wolff. Do they prioritize the lead car, or do they split their own strategy and risk a collision between their drivers? Furthermore, the VAU AI simulations, the most advanced predictive modeling in the sport, suggest that the weather at Suzuka could play right into Ferrari's hands, with a 40% chance of micro rain. The SF26's superior mechanical grip and fluid logic suspension become a massive advantage. While the Mercedes W17 struggles to generate temperature in damp conditions, the Ferrari thermal harvesting system keeps the rubber in the ideal operating window of 100°C to 110°C. The stage is set for a historic confrontation. Ferrari has the hardware, the secret strategy, and the most motivated driver pairing on the grid. They have spent millions of dollars and thousands of wind tunnel hours specifically for this weekend in Japan. If the Macarena wing and the Ghost suspension work as predicted, the 2026 season will no longer be a Mercedes procession, it will be a red revolution. The Jap isn't just closing, it's about to be demolished. The lights are about to go out, and the world is watching to see if the prancing horse can finally reclaim its crown at the most technical circuit on the calendar.